The world of How to Train Your Dragon is filled with some ridiculously powerful creatures, with every dragon in this universe bringing something special to the table. But what if there was a dragon with no drawbacks to its special powers, and possessed the most broken abilities from across the franchise? In today's video, I'm creating the strongest dragon in How to Train Your Dragon history by combining 12 key traits from the most powerful dragons in the franchise. But before we dive in, there's two rules. First, I can only take one trait from any given dragon. That means I can't just stack the red dragon or the bewilderbeast across multiple categories, even if they'd be obvious picks. The second rule is that I can't pick mutants or legendary one-of-a-kind dragons, which excludes dragons like the Screaming Death or Jormungandr. Okay, so now let's begin with size. We know that the bewilderbeast is the largest dragon in the franchise, but I'm not picking it for two reasons. First, even though the bewilderbeast has wings, it's a title-class dragon, and we've never actually seen one fly on screen. So there's a very real risk of ending up with a dragon that can't fly. But the second reason is that we actually have a better category for it. So instead, I'm going to go with the next best option and select the Red Death. The Red Death is a massive Stoker-class dragon that clocks in at over 400 feet long, large enough to dwarf all but the biggest dragons on Earth. The Red Death's sheer size and mass mean that it can level absolutely anything in its path by just crashing into obstacles. We saw a great example of this during the Red Death's chase scene with Toothless, when she simply broke through rock formations while the Night Fury took care to weave through them. Now, here I want you to note that I'm only taking the Red Death's size and not its body type, because I've got an even better pick for that. The Singe-Tail. The Singe-Tail has one of the most uniquely weaponized body plans of any dragon in the franchise. It has a wide, flat frame, with 4 wings and 4 legs, meaning it can easily generate the amount of lift needed to support our dragon's massive size. But the real advantage is that the Singe-Tail has gills along its underbelly, and an orifice on its tail that allows it to breathe fire through them. Given that the Singe-Tail can also shoot fire from its mouth, gills, and tail simultaneously, that means no matter which direction an attacker comes from, it can respond with fire without turning around. Next up, I need to give this dragon some wings, and for that I've selected none other than the Timberjack. Usually a massive pair of wings is a weakness, as it just gives your enemies a bigger target to take the dragon down. But the Timberjack has already evolved to account for this. Most dragons use their wings for flight and not much else, but the Timberjack's wings are so strong and sharp that they can cut down entire forests. The Timberjack's wings are lined with razor-sharp scales along their forward edges, making them literal bladed weapons that can cut through all but the toughest dragon hides. Thanks to these tough scales, the Timberjack's wings are capable of sustaining immense damage from both humans and dragons alike, and can also be used as shields. They also use their wings to create large gusts of wind, and on a dragon already the size of the Red Death, wings like this would create literal hurricanes. But honestly, we can do much better in terms of scales and armor, and this is what I was saving the Bewilderbeast for. Think about it. Drago's Bewilderbeast loses the final battle at Berk when Toothless becomes the new alpha, but he took a barrage of fire from every single one of Berk's dragons before that. And even after all that concentrated firepower, the Bewilderbeast only lost a horn, with no visible damage on his body scales. The Bewilderbeast also has lines of bony protrusions along its eyelids, acting as natural eye guards, and the sheer mass of its layered plating means that human weapons are functionally useless against it. The only thing we've seen pierce a Bewilderbeast's armor is a Bewilderbeast tusk, and that only becomes an issue if you let the battle get into close combat. But that's actually an issue I need to solve, so let's figure out which dragon strength I'll be using. When it comes to the raw physical strength, the usual suspects are the Red Death and the Bewilderbeast, but we've already used both of them. But don't worry, because there's one more contender hiding in the depths of the sea. The Purple Death. The Purple Death is a gigantic title-class dragon so powerful that it's capable of causing seaquakes, actual shifts in the Earth's crust, at will. These seaquakes led the early Vikings to believe that it was the Serpent of Midgard itself, the creature destined to trigger Ragnarok, the end of the world. We've got everything we need for close combat, so let's move on to firepower. Now this is the most difficult category of them all because I have tons of options, from the Deadly Natter's Magnesium Flames to the Night Fury's Plasma Blasts. But these types of fire attacks are easy to counter or avoid, so that got me thinking, why not go for a dragon with a range so massive that it can hit you before you even see it? And that's why I picked the Shellfire, because this dragon is a living siege weapon. It launches massive plasma charged boulders from its body in rapid succession, like a mortar cannon, with a firing range of over a mile. And these aren't just big fireballs, they're explosive projectiles that whistle through the air and detonate like cannonballs on impact. Viggo Grimborn literally strapped a warship to a Shellfire's back because he recognized that it was the most destructive long-range weapon in the entire archipelago. The only thing holding back a Shellfire is that it can't fly, but with a Timberjack's wings and a Singe-Tail's body, its firepower becomes absolutely unmanageable. For the next trait, I have endurance, and this isn't just about taking a hit and staying standing, it's about whether your body can keep fighting through conditions that would destroy other creatures. And for that, I have the Eruptodon, a boulder-class dragon that literally lives inside volcanoes. These dragons are not only incredibly durable, but also have lifespans on the scale of centuries, as we saw with the Great Protector who lived in Caldera Cay. This dragon flew all the way to Vanaheim without stopping, despite being old and weakened from laying an egg. So that's just the baseline stamina we're talking about. Younger Eruptodons have been documented flying over 30 hours without rest. And more importantly, a creature that eats lava for sustenance is essentially impossible to wear down through conventional fire-based attacks. Next up, we have Intelligence, and you might think the Night Fury is the obvious pick here, but Toothless Intelligence comes partly from his individual bond with Hiccup. My pick for Intelligence is the Sentinel, a legendary dragon that operates on a completely different level of instilled ancient knowledge. The Sentinels guard Vanaheim, the dragon's graveyard, and have been doing so for centuries. Over that time, they have observed, cataloged, and adapted to every dragon species that has ever passed through their territory. This accumulated strategic wisdom built up over generations, and a dragon that can recognize what you're about to do before you do it, wins wars before they even start. We've got all the combat traits, we've got the battle IQ, and now it's time to set the reflexes that our dragon needs to execute the attacks it plans out. And this is the category that belongs to the Night Fury, as its reflexes are legendary throughout the franchise. Think about it. No dragon has outmaneuvered Toothless. The Dragon Manual literally says your only chance against the Night Fury is to hide and pray it doesn't find you. These dragons have been documented as being able to dodge dragon blasts, arrows, and catapult fire with seemingly effortless precision. And Toothless has demonstrated incredible agility even on land. Now here's where things get controversial, because we know the Night Fury is the fastest dragon in the franchise, so who am I gonna use for speed? Naturally, it needs to be a strike class dragon, and it also needs to be one with aerial feats comparable to the Night Fury. And just like that, we get to my pick for speed, the Skrill. This dragon is only marginally slower than the Night Fury in regular flight, and was able to give Toothless some serious trouble with his lightning-powered attacks. But the Skrill gets even more powerful in the sky, thanks to its ability to ride lightning, essentially instantly transmitting itself across vast distances. Our dragon is shaping up nicely, but what it lacks is sensory capabilities to detect enemies before they appear. So for senses, I've selected the Snow Wraith, a strike-class dragon that's got sensory capabilities that are genuinely off the charts. Snow Wraiths are said to have incredibly acute senses of hearing and touch, and can sense the slightest shifts in their environment, from the fall of snow to fluctuating temperatures. More importantly, they possess thermal vision, allowing them to see heat signatures and track prey that would be invisible in darker conditions. Usually, it's subterranean dragons that have these kinds of skills, and it comes with the drawback of weak eyes and poor vision. But the Snow Wraith isn't like that. Now combine regular eyesight with everything else, and now you have a dragon that can sense prey threats from distances that others simply cannot match. And finally, we get to my favorite pick, the Wild Card. For this, I'm picking one special ability that's not covered by the previous traits, which would elevate our dragon to the most terrifying predator in the entire franchise. Now, there's a bunch of contenders here, like the Dromillion's ability to copy firepower, the Skrill's electrokinesis, and the Death Gripper's venom. But there's one dragon with an ability that's far more reliable and deadly than all of them, the Death Song. This mystery-class dragon lures other dragons to their doom, using a hypnotic, siren-like melody that it can project specifically at targets up to a mile away. The Death Song's extracervical vertebrae expand into frills when it sings, allowing it to direct the song with devastating precision. Dragons that hear it are compelled to follow without resistance, walking straight into the Death Song's territory, where it encases them in amber that hardens on contact and can only be melted by fire. So there you have it, the strongest dragon that Burke has ever seen. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another incredible How to Train Your Dragon theory.